You're listening to the movie review on 5 Live, and welcome to the show, star of The Lone Ranger, Ruth Wilson. Ruth, welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
Oh, good. Can I say, I saw the film at the IMAX yesterday with loads of kids, and they were absolutely loving it.
Oh, good.
And it's a real joy to turn when that music comes in. Everybody is holding imaginary reins and leaping over fences and cactuses on horses. It's sort of like in your system. Tell us a bit about the plot of the film.
It's kind of the origin story of the Lone Ranger, who is a man that's gone off to sort of learn law and come back to try and civilise the place that he grew up with the word of law, but actually realises the gun is still all key and all powerful. So it's kind of a man who's about truth and justice. He's trying to do that in a world that's very corrupt. And within that, you see relationships with his brother. He meets this Native American who the two of them together do the same thing, sort of restoring peace in the land. And in the original, Tonto was really the sidekick. He was kind of the errand boy. In this particular version, we've turned that on its head and put him at the centre. So it's through Tonto's eyes that this whole story is told. It's kind of in his memory of how it was.
How does your character, Rebecca, weave her way into this story?
Yeah, I'm sort of part of the love triangle in a way between John, who is the Lone Ranger, and Dan Reed, who's his brother. And the idea is kind of that we grew up together and that I really should have married John. He was a bit Dawson's Creek in the fact that I should have married that man, but I married the more exciting, thrilling, dangerous one. But when he comes back, all those sort of feelings resurface. And I kind of get kidnapped by the baddies, and it's up to John and Tonto to save the day.
But the great thing is that you don't play your typical damsel in distress here. You did actually go to director Gore Verbinski, didn't you, and say, can we give her some else? Can we, make her great fun? And you get to do some incredible stunts.
Yeah, I mean, that was always in the script. The stunts were all there, but it was more about making sure that she is a woman in a male world and that she stands up for herself, and she's a single mum and she's protecting her child. But she's got grit and determination, and she keeps climbing out of windows and trains and moving trains and climbing on top of trains. I mean, I wouldn't do that, but she's standing up for herself, and I wanted her to make sure that came across and that we represented her like that. But yeah, I got to do some great stunts, which I've never done before, and loved them.
I know how much. I mean, do you ridden a horse before? There's some horse work involved, and I'm never really sure. I'm like, is that a real horse or is that green screen? I can never really tell, which is good.
Yeah. Well, no, I've ridden horses before, but I've also fallen off them, so I've a kind of hit and miss ratio with horses, and my relationship isn't that great with them. And in this, we did lots of sort of riding of horses before. But that particular stunt I didn't do because I can hardly ride one forward. Okay. But it's a real woman doing the stunt, riding a horse backwards. Okay. That's the wide shot, and then you come in for the close-ups, and we're on a horse, a box horse, but we were on a real road rig, so we're going around the landscape. It wasn't CGI backdrops or anything, it was real backdrops.
Were you ever in fear of your life?
Yeah, a few times. Yeah. I mean, it was like we're going along at 40 miles per hour and having to feel, unnaturally jump off a train. It feels very odd, and you think if the train moved, went around a bend at that point, it would be pretty dodgy. But once you've done it once, it then becomes really fun. And I wanted to do it again and again after that.
You get really gung-ho, I can imagine. I mean, we loved you on telly as Jane Eyre, and obviously Alice in Luther. We'll talk about her a bit more in a moment. And you've had so many accolades for great, incredible stage performances. But I guess apart from Anna Karenina, I mean, this is your first big blockbuster. Did the producers need a bit of convincing that you were the girl for the job?
Maybe behind closed doors and out of earshot from me, maybe. But it was a first film for me in a way, a first film that I was cast in on that scale. And I think Gore didn't know my work before, but he saw my tape. I put myself on tape for it, auditioned, like lots of other people do, and he just instantly thought that I was right in terms of my look, but also in what I brought to the part. For that particular role and for that particular genre, which was great. And many directors don't have the power to demand certain actors in their piece, but Gore did, and all credit to him. And so, I'm sort of very thankful to him.
Great text and drawl as
well.
Yeah,
what
a great accent
fun
to do.
Yeah, it's a
one I
accent.
think I can do, but I can't. I won't go into that now.
Give it a go.
There's a great crop of British actors in the film as well. Helena Bonham Carter's glorious. Tom Wilkinson. Harry Treadway plays Frank. He's great. He's one of my favourites, actually. What a talented family they are.
Yeah.
Now, the film has come under a bit of stick from the critics. Johnny Depp sort of saying this week that perhaps the critics have spoilt it by being quite so harsh. What's your take on all this business?
I don't know. I'm a bit sort of befuddled by it. I don't know if that's a word. It sounds quite Roald Dahl, but I don't know. I kind of feel that, I think as artists or creatives in these professions, you kind of want fair criticism, and you need it. And I just think a lot of the critics or a lot of the responses were quite venomous, and they were quite personal, which I think's personal to the creative team. That was Johnny, Gore, and Jerry. And I just don't think any film or any individual deserves that kind of brutality in terms of critic response. I think that it's not a flawless movie, but it's got some great things in it. I mean, it looks spectacular. It's got a moral heart, and it's trying to say something that a lot of big blockbusters don't dare do. And it's wild, and it's fun, and it's bombastic, and it's quirky and subversive and slightly anti-American. And I think, and above all, it's just really fun. And like you say, the kids love it. And the responses of people that have gone to see it have been brilliant. So I just think it's slightly become that machine. And it's also about social media these days, that things become out of control. It's like a wave of vitriolic kind of abuse, which I don't think is quite fair. And it's not about the movie anymore. It's about something else. So that's my response. I love the movie. I'm really proud of it. And I think that it is trying to do something different with with a summer blockbuster. And, all credit to those people that have done that,
I know. I thought it was really refreshing, actually, and it's not sci-fi, and it's not superheroes.
And it's not in the sky, and it's not with sort of silver outfits. It's real stunts, it's real trains, it's fun, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think it's packed full of ideas, and, maybe too many ideas, but it's still, thank God that people are doing that and taking risks, even with budgets that big, and I think that's one thing that the more these budgets, the bigger they are, and it means that people take less risks and they make films that all seem similar. And this isn't. This is very different.
Well said. Luther's just finished. Yeah. I actually spent the whole of yesterday watching the whole of Luther because I hadn't seen any of it. I became completely obsessed. And I won't give too much away because I do understand with a lot of series like this, people don't always get to see them when they're on the television. It puts you in a difficult position because you can't give much away. But I know how loved you are in the role of Alice Morgan. I mean, how much fun is it to play such a clever, sassy psychopath lady?
It's very fun. I have to say, it's probably the... It's the most joyous role I've ever played, I think. You go to set every day and you don't quite know. You can get away with anything because she has no conscience and she doesn't live by the same rules as everyone else does. So I can do what I want, and it's really liberating for an actor, but for that character. And also working with Idris, it's just very easy. We have an instant rapport, so I throw something at him and he'll throw something back, and it'll just be trying to catch each other out the whole time, which is great. And you can see that on screen. So, I've loved playing her. She's been brilliant.
She has been brilliant. We've got a listener question from Alex Farley, who says, is there going to be a Luther movie? Is this just a rumour? Is it true?
There's lots of talk. There's no sort of green light situation at the moment. It's kind of certainly, we're also, we love the character so much, and we love the fans. The fans have been so supportive of it. So we'd love to keep giving something to the fans. So it's definitely on the radar. Whether it's definitely going to happen, I'm not sure.
Okay, we'll keep our fingers crossed. You've also been making Walk Among the Tombstones with Liam Neeson and Downton's Dan Stevens. I don't know whether he'll ever thank people for saying that. Yeah. Not just Downton's Dan Stevens.
So he'll stick with it for a while.
And it's with Scott Frank. Is he directing it? Did he write The Wolverine and Marley and Me? Am I right?
Yeah. He's an amazing writer. He wrote also Out of Sight and Minority Report.
That's like one of my favourite films.
And he directed one other film called The Lookout a while ago. This is his second film that he's actually directed. But yeah, it's a kind of intelligent thriller, which has Liam Neeson, he's a cop that's kind of got as most cops do, have some dodgy past, which I don't know why that's the case, but he does. And I play someone that's worked with him, a work colleague that's worked with him in the past and helps him out now as he comes back in. So yeah, and Dan Stevens, I didn't get to work with him actually, but he plays one of the sort of drug dealers in it. So a very different role.
Ooh,
very different role from Downton Abbey.
And before you go, I must mention Saving Mr. Banks, all about the making of Mary Poppins. Tom Hanks is in there. Your friend Emma Thompson, Jason Schwartzman, favourite of mine, and Colin Farrell. Who do you play in the film?
I play P.L. Travers' mum. Now, P.L. Travers wrote the original novels and was pursued by Walt Disney for 20 years to make it into a film. So it keeps flashing back to her inspiration for the books, which is her father, who was an alcoholic, and her mother, who had to deal with that. And really, Mary Poppins was kind of the saviour nanny in that situation.
We look forward to that.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Exciting times ahead.
Yeah, it's good.
Ruth, thanks for coming and talking to us.
You.
Really enjoyed the film.
Yeah,
Take care.
thank you. Bye.